Hey guys, what's up? Sox here. So thank you very much for tuning in into my brand new video. Today we're gonna talk about the Crusader in Diablo 3 Season 5. But first of all, I want to say thank you very much for all that subscribing on my YouTube channel. I think the Death Knight guide for World of Warcraft just ruled it. So thank you very much for all that support. And right now we go directly into the game and have a look at the Crusader, at the Blasted Shield Crusader. And hope you guys enjoy it, and yeah, let's start. So let's start with the skills of a Blast Shield Crusader. So in the secondary we have the Blast Shield, of course. So the Blast Shield with the rune like Shattering Throw. So what does Blast Shield do? It's hurl your shield, dealing 430% weapon damage as holy plus 250% of shield block chance as holy damage. The shield will split into 3 small fragments that bounce between nearby enemies, dealing 170% weapon damage as holy to all enemies hit. That's your first ability you use as a Blast Shield Crusader. As it says Blast Shield, it's very important, you're gonna spam this shit out of it. Next one is your utility. It's Steed Charge. What does Steed Charge do? It's with a rune, it's endurance. So mount a celestial warhorse, always allowing you to ride through enemies unimpeded for 3 seconds. So that's a very important thing, because you can run rifts such fast with this ability. Next one is the Iron Skin. Iron Skin Flash. Your skin turns into iron, absorbing 50% of all incoming damage for 4 seconds. If you take damage while Iron Skin is active, your movement speed is increased by 60% for 5 seconds, and you can move through enemies unhindered. So what does this mean? Is like you get a 50% reduce of damage income, and you can move through enemies if you're gonna get hit, and your movement speed is increased by 60%. Next one is Akarat's Champion. So it's the rune Prophet. So what does Akarat Champion does? It's like explode with the power of your order, increasing your damage by 35% and increasing your wrath regeneration by 5 for 20 seconds. Gain 150% additional armor while Akarat's Champion is active. The first time you take fatal damage while Akarat's Champion is active, you will be returned to full health. So that's a very important thing, because you get 35% increased damage and a higher wrath generation, but this wrath regeneration you does not need with this build. But also you gain 150% additional armor while you have this ability active. And if you're gonna take fatal damage and you're gonna go to die, you will not die, but return just your health to full. So that's good stuff. Next one is Laws of Valor. Laws of Valor with the rune Critical. So if you're gonna active this ability, empower the law, granting you and your allies 50% increased attack speed and 100% increased critical hit damage for 5 seconds. If it does not active this ability, it has a passive Recrit the Law, granting you and your allies 8% increased attack speed. So that's a very important skill if you're gonna use to play in a group. It's also a strong ability if you're gonna use to play solo rifts. So it's always good. If you're not gonna active, it's a passive with 8% increased attack speed. That's awesome. If you're gonna active, you're gonna do so much damage with this skill tree. It's amazing. Next one is Shield Glare. Shield Glare with the rune Divine Verdict. So it's light erupts from your shield, blinding all enemies up to 30 yards in front of you for 4 seconds. Blinded enemies take 20% more damage for 4 seconds. So it's awesome because you can stun a lot of creatures in front of you like 30 yards for 4 seconds, and you're gonna increase their damage taken while they are stunned for 20%. That's awesome. So that's our build we're gonna work with. So let's have a look at the passive skills. We're gonna start with Favor. While wielding a one-handed weapon, your attack speed is increased by 15% and all cooldowns are reduced by 15%. So the Blast Shield Crusader is built on fast attacks, so you need to play with a one-handed weapon. And if you're gonna play with a one-handed weapon, your attack speed is increased by 15% and also the cooldowns are reduced by 15%. Next one is gain 1.5% strength for every gem socket into your gear. So finery is a good thing because as more as you can socket in your gear, it's gonna improve your strength by 1.5% for every gem socked in your gear. So we need strength because strength is gonna improve our damage, and so it's awesome as a Crusader to get with finery. Next one is the Holy Cause. Holy Cause. So the amount of damage dealt by your weapon is increased by 10%. Whenever you deal holy damage, you heal up to 1% of total life. So that's a very important passive because, as I said, you need to spam Blast Shield, and we are gonna use the rune Shattering Throw, and Shattering Throw is a holy rune. So every time we use to spell Blast Shield, we're gonna increase our total life by 1% or heal ourselves for 1% of life. So that's awesome. Next one is Indestructible. When you receive fatal damage, you instead become immune to damage, gain 35% increased damage, and gain 107,248 life per kill for 5 seconds. This effect may occur once every 60 seconds. So if you're gonna activate Accurate's Champion and you gonna fall to 0 hit points, you're gonna increase your life to full health. So that's your first bubble. I say bubble to it. And the other bubble is Indestructible because if you're gonna die another time and your health is gonna fall to 0 hit points, you did not die, you're gonna get a bubble which gonna increase your damage by 35% and gonna heals up full life. So that's our build we're gonna play with, and I'm gonna show you later on how does it works. And yeah, next one is the gear we need for our Crusader to work. So yeah, hope you guys will enjoy it. Hey guys, welcome back to the gear. So let's have a look what a Blast Shield Crusader should use. So let's start with the important things a Blast Shield Crusader should use. So there's one thing about this build. So let's start with the rings, because the rings are the most important thing to use this build correctly. So we need the Litany of the Undaunted. The Litany of the Undaunted is a set ring, and the bonus of the set ring is, while this is your only item set bonus, every ancient item you have equipped increase your damage dealt by 100% and reduce your damage taken by 4%. So this set bonus is all we build on. If we have the set bonus activate, we need as much ancient items as we can have. So what it does on the PTR, the thing was this set increases your damage done by 800% for every ancient item, so they nerfed it, and it's still 100% for every ancient item you have in your build. So what we're gonna need is, we need as much ancient items as possible in our build to deal the most damage we can. So first of all, we need these two set rings. It's the Wailing Host and the Litany of Undaunted. So next item we need is the Gyre Falcon Food. It's a one-hand weapon, a one-hand weapon for the Crusader, and the bonus of this one-hand weapon is removes the resource cost of Blasted Shield. So Blasted Shield is our main ability we want to spam to deal the damage, and with this item we can remove the resource cost, so we don't need to spend our Wrath to do things. And the other thing we need for this build is like the J-Kang board. J-Kang board is a one-handed is an offhand Crusader shield, and it has the effect that Blast Shield recoaches to 5 additional enemies. So why these things are very important is, like I said before, with the 2-set bonus we have 100% damage boost for every ancient item we have in the build, and these two things let us spam the Blast Shield as much as possible. And yeah, next thing is like the wrists. The wrists gonna have the ability, Blast Shield damage is increased by 425% for the first enemy it hits. So that's very important to deal damage on one target, like if we're gonna try to kill a boss or elite mobs. And yes, the next thing we need for this build is the Aquila Cuirass. It has the ability, while above 91% of primary resource, all damage taken is reduced by 50%, so it's a permanent 50% damage reduce, because we're never gonna spend Wrath in this build. And yes, the other things are very variable to choose. Of course there are best in slot items for this build, but I can't really show them to you because I don't have the best in slots items for this build. So if you're gonna start to play with Blast Shield Crusader, it's very important to get the set bonus from the rings. And the other thing that's very important is to get as many ancient items as you can. Ancient items are the better version of the legendary ones. So there's always standing ancient in front of the legendary, and there's an orange mark beside of the picture. So yes, you can. The other thing that's very important in this build is you're not allowed to have another set bonus active, because if you have another set bonus active, you will lose this set bonus. That's the other thing that's very important in this set. So yes, what I'm just using in this build is like as much possible Asian Asian legendaries as I can. Like I'm seeing here, the shoulders are ancient, the hands are ancient, and the pants, the legs are ancient, and the waist are ancient. So there's the head is ancient, and there are a lot of other things that are not ancient right now. So I'm losing 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600% damage because I'm having the ancient version for these slots. So there's a much more improvement if I have the Asian versions of these items. So there is a 600% damage lost because I haven't the Asian ones. So that's the thing. That's all of the build. So you don't need much more. You only need the 2 set bonus rings and the weapon, the shield, and maybe the wrists to get a good damage. The other thing is, let me show you guys, is the Kanai's Cube for the Season 5. So in Kanai's Cube you have the possibility to take with you 3 more items, the abilities for 3 more items. So the other thing is, like, if you want to play the Blast Shield Crusader, you need another weapon if in your Kanai's Cube. It's the Akan's leniency. Each enemy hit by your Blast Shield increase the damage of your Blast Shield by 20% for 3 seconds. So what does this mean is, like, if you're gonna spam the Blast Shield out of it, so like I said before, the Blast Shield with the rune Shattering Throw will split into 3 small fragments, and so it bounces very often between the enemies. And with this Akan's leniency weapon, every time it hits an enemy, you get 20% increased damage. And if you have enough attack speed, you're gonna put out so much damage. It's amazing. I'm gonna show you guys later on. It's very important to go with this to deal maximum damage at this build. Next one is the Ancient Parton Defenders. Each stunned enemy within 25 yards reduce your damage taken by 12%. So it's very important to go with the Shield Glare, because the Shield Glare stuns every enemy in 30 yards in front of you for 4 seconds. And if there are a lot of enemies in front of you, you get so much reduction, damage reduction. It's amazing. So that's very important to go with this. At the ring, at the last thing, are very it's very how do you say that? It's very it depends on your playstyle. Like, I really love the convention of elements, because you can increase 200% damage if it's gonna bleeds up with the holy. So now if you're gonna bleeds up with holy, because it's switching between fire, arcane, holy, lightning, physical and poison. If you're gonna pop up the lightning, you're gonna deal 200% increased damage with your Blast Shield, because Blast Shield uses the holy rune. So that's very important. You have another thing is, if you want to do group content, you just use the Unity Ring, because Unity Ring, all damage taken is split between wearers of this item. It's very important to go in Greater Rifts with Unity to split all the damage between the players. So yes, as I said, the last thing on this build I want to talk about is, like, the gams you sock in your gear. It depends how much damage you have and how much toughness you have. Like, right now you can see I have not really a lot of toughness, like 39 million toughness is not that much if you want to go Greater Rifts. So probably it's better to jam the, how are they called, like the resistance to all elements jams. But as you can see later on the footage of this build, damage is overall at this build, because you deal so much amazing damage. It's really awesome. I think the only better skill tree of the Crusader is the Invoker Best in Slot build. I think the Invoker Best in Slot build, they did a Greater Rift like 90 or higher. So, but I very enjoy the Blast Shield Crusader. It does so much fun to play it. So I hope you guys yeah, get a lot of information with this, and I'm gonna show you guys how the Crusader works in a Rift. And yeah, hope you guys see we're gonna see us later. So I'm just started at a level 50 difficult Rift, so it's a very low Rift, because I'm not using the best in slot items for this build, because I need more ancient items to deal really hard damage. But even with this 4 or 5 ancient items I have in this build, I'm really gonna go strange with my build. So I'm gonna show you guys how does it works. So as I just said, I have the possibility with Stealer Charge to run through the map, and yes, so far is good. So I'm gonna skip all that, guys. And yes, if I have a lot of players, I'm gonna spam Blast Shield. And gonna activate all my items to deal the most damage I can. So as you can see at the bottom side of my build, the Blast Shield damage is increasing himself by the stacks. So as you can see, the blue one's gonna die so fast. Yeah, it's very important to stay in front of all enemies, not let you behind yourself. So I'm gonna blind them all to take the 20% damage buff, increase all targets. So the shields are bouncing all over the place and increase my damage overall, so that's very important to go with. Yeah, and always use Steed Charge to grade up and use some mobility against the enemies. So we can spam that Blast Shield to kill all these enemies, and the damage is really gonna do well. So I have the shrine, which I can use all my abilities in just accurate time. Yeah, that's really gonna do us good damage though. So the yellow ones and the blue ones gonna die such quick. So I really want to show you guys later on how this build gonna works. If you have every slot equipped with an ancient item, I really want to show you guys, because every ancient item increased the damage dealt by 100%. And that's fucking awesome, I think. I think you can clearly up with this build like a level 70 or 80 Rift if you have best in slots items. So it has a very high potential to get greater on. So the only thing that does not work is like the toughness of this build. It's quite a little bit low, but you can improve it with some more things. And the thing is, you really need to attack as much enemies as you can, because you're always gonna increase your damage dealt for every Blessed Shield you throw. So it's very important to stack up the damage though. So Steed Charge for skipping all the all the low buffs, and gonna spam the shield again. Spam it though. Oh, and I died there. Wow. So I almost finished my rift in such a quick time, but it's just a quite low rift strange, like difficult 50. That's nothing though. So I really need to compromise a little bit about my gear, because it's not possible to go more higher with the difficult, because I'm missing so much gear. So the Rift Guardian is here. Let's check it out, how fast we can kill a level 50 Rift Guardian with all things activated. So it's quite a little bit low, but now he's dropping that hard. He just fell down so hard. As often as I just hit him. So he's dead. And yes, so far so good. So let's have a look at the gems you use in the Blasted Shield Crusader build. So first of all is the Bane of Stricken. The Bane of Stricken, each attack you make against the enemy increases the damage it takes from your attacks by 1.11% at the rank 31. And the other thing is gain 25% increased damage against bosses and Rift Guardians. The only macro of Blast Shield Crusader is you're not dealing that much solo damage, so you need to increase that with the Bane of Stricken. That's very important to deal a lot of damage against Rift bosses. The next gem is the Pain Enhancer. Its critical hits cause the enemy to bleed for 2100% weapon damage as physical over 3 seconds. It's the 30 rank, and gain Blood Frenzy, granting you 3% increased attack speed for each bleeding enemy within 20 yards. So that attack speed is very important, so we want to spam as much Blast Shield as we can to heal ourselves, to make more damage, to get these splits and the Blasting Shield up power damage from the weapon we just have in the Canized Cube. So that's very important. The other thing is the Bane of the Trapped. Increased damage against enemies under the effect of controlling impairing effects by 24.30%. So that's very important to deal much more damage against blinded enemies. And if you have a 25 rank of this, gain an aura that reduces movement speed of enemies within 15 yards by 30%. So you always have the 25.30% damage active, because you're gonna reduce all the movement speed of your enemies within 15 yards around you. And yes, it's a perma buff. So guys, that's all I knew about the Blast Shield Crusader. The Blast Shield Crusader was much more stronger on the PTR as far as I know, because the 2-set bonus of the rings just increased it for every ancient item by 800% the damage. So now it's reduced, it's nerfed to 100% every ancient item, but still the Blast Crusader is such strong if you have every item equipped as an ancient item version. So check it out, guys, try it in your own way to play a path style, and hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you wanna see more of the Crusader, like the other sets, the Evoker sets and the Hammer Din, I have all the equipment in my bank, so I can probably show you how the other playstyles of the Crusader work. So thank you very much for watching, and hope you guys enjoyed. So give a thumbs up if you like this video. Just write in the comments how I can do guides better in your opinion. And yes, guys, we're gonna see us the next time, and have a nice day, have a nice weekend and all that stuff, and thank you very much for all the support. So see ya, guys.